Everybody, you're in the basement with JaVonne and Terez. This is Melba Moore.
Still in the basement, no longer alone, with my homegirl Terez on the microphone. Music politics are just chatting it up. Brunch in the basement, see that's what's up. You never know who might run through. Legendary artist or someone brand new. You miss a lot when you miss one day. At least that's what I heard somebody say. But it doesn't really matter what whoever says. It's always a good show with JaVonne and Terez. Yeah. Brunch in the basement with JaVonne and Terez. Yeah. Let's see who we got today. Come on, everybody's a friend in my head. I already know everybody. Whatever it is, it's gonna be good. One day I'll tell you about me and Shaka Khan, but you know.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but she doesn't know anything about it. But anyway. No, she doesn't. She wasn't even there actually. But anyway.
All our bosses though, Jay. Like she got our ears and
I'm gonna send y'all some. I'll definitely get an address. I'll send y'all out.
You can send me some cologne, cause I mean, you know. Yeah. Just in case I should meet Shaka Khan, I want to smell really, you know, nice.
Oh God.
Okie dokie, babe. Whatever you say.
The time, so
and we thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yes,
thank you. This part, that little piece, I'm just gonna keep and play it all the time for myself. But no, I'm just teasing. And we're live. You know, we're live and we're right now behind the scenes. Isn't that interesting? We're like behind the scenes. And then bang, we're right up front. How you doing today, Rezi?
I'm good. What's happening?
You know, I am super duper excited today for various reasons. Our special guest today. I can't tell you how excited I am.
Okay.
This woman is amazing, Pam Keith, but we'll get to that later on. I do have some not so great news. For whatever reason, technology and all that drama, our call-in line seems to be down now. And
Yikes.
as I am, unfortunately, and I have a feeling like we would have had a lot of people calling in. As you know, Tammy Too Much will be doing everything possible to make sure that we can get that line up in time for her when she's actually on air. I know she's listening now because I see her in the green room. What's up? What's up? Yeah, that's what's up. So, but what I want to do is, you know, a little finagling. So those of you who know me know I am Tammy Too Much, and I will be fudging around here.
Just don't knock the system out.
I will try not to knock the system out, you know. And if I do, I'm gonna get us all back together. That's because you know what? Because that's what I do.
What you do.
So that's the not so great news is that I got a little technological crap to do, right? Hopefully we could get it up though. Get it up. But anyway.
Hey Sage.
What's up, Sagey? The other thing. Girl. You know what tonight is.
Tonight.
I'm trying to hold it in.
Tonight. What is tonight? Did I miss something? Other than my straw for my sea moss this morning.
Girl.
About that.
Girl, where am I going tonight?
Mm.
Where am I going tonight?
How could I have forgotten that?
Leave my basement, but I am going out tonight to see who. Oh, say a word.
Shaka
Oh,
Khan.
Jesus. Yes.
Yes. How could I forget that? All's a buzz.
God is an awesome God, I'm telling you.
Not that finger, though. Oh, so it's a good day for you all around.
I am bursting at the seams. I am bursting at the seams, bubbling up, and
See what I'm saying?
super excited.
See what I'm saying?
You know, I really am.
That's good stuff.
Yep. I really am excited. So yeah, there's that. And what about you, my friend? How are you today?
I am well. I am awoke. I am well. My level of excitement fluctuates. This week was pretty up and down. Between so many things watching, so many wins. I see New York is making moves in areas that we didn't expect right away, and I say that with regard to cryptocurrency.
Okay. Yeah, you're always on the crypto watch. I get you.
Yeah, we got a crypto mayor now. So, all of a sudden, coins that weren't available are available. Okay, wonderful. That and just things I try not to look at too much of the news. Although I did see an alert that Biden snuck through.
And what alert was that?
He got some of the $1 trillion package, but I want to see what's actually in it. What did it boil down to? I see it passed. Now you got to go back, and it's unfortunate that you got to go back to make sure and see what's actually in it. And I've kind of fallen back because sometimes I think I get extra cynical because I'm still waiting for those promises, and I just I don't know. I think we are growing a little impatient with seeing so many other things fly by, but I haven't checked it out yet, so I'm going to refrain from commenting on that until I do.
Yeah,
I'm looking for some stuff, man. Looking for some stuff. So
yeah, and I'm just trying to hold on to some stuff. Just like I said, I'm when it comes to that whole thing, I'm more concerned about losing privileges, not privileges, but I mean common decency rights, the right to vote. That's an American standard, and I am more concerned about that. I don't think people are taking that seriously enough and really understand that that is a possibility.
Yeah.
And with that, if that goes, everything goes.
So but Jay, let me know. I'm less political and more I don't know what you'd call me this week, but worst case scenario, we lose the vote. What they think they're gonna actually do? Just run the show? Like we lose the vote?
Absolutely. So you lose the
man,
vote.
that's not gonna happen.
But why wouldn't it happen? No. First of all,
wait, why wouldn't what happen?
What
do you think I'm responding to?
That they run the show? Absolutely.
No. That's not going to happen. We're not going to let that happen. Let me say that. Maybe I should rephrase that.
Okay, yeah, because you scared me.
No. We're not going to let that.
It sounds as though you said what I thought you said.
Like, no.
How do social workers do? But it sounds like I thought I heard you say. Right? Is that if we lose the vote, it'll still be all right. And no, it won't. Because if you look at what's going on in the courts right now, elections matter. So we lose the vote, we lose the courts, which we already have lost them because the former guy put in like $1 trillion. These two current trials that are going on that have my attention, I'm sure there's plenty more, because everything is not in the news, and everything that's in the news does not hit me, my cycle.
They don't put it in there. The stuff that we need to, they put the smoke and
Right.
mirrors in the news. They don't put what we
Exactly.
need to hear.
So the Ahmaud Bradbury, I think that's his name, right?
Aubrey.
Right, there you go. His I'm thinking Giants football, which is another drama, but you know, that's a lot less important than this, right? So I think that's an all-white jury.
One black person.
One black person. And then the Kyle Rittenhouse with and that racist judge, overtly racist judge. You cannot refer to the victims as victims. I'm praying. See, I'm not an attorney, but our special guest
You don't
today,
have to be. In this case, you
no, that's cool. Our special guest today is an attorney, and maybe she can help me with this, right? So my question is, since the court is refusing to allow the prosecution to refer to the victims as victims, can the prosecution define the word victim without referring to the actual victims? See, that would be my thing. I would say we are not, you know, ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
But it's the alternative names that they can be referred to that got me. You can't call them victims, but you can call them.
Right. So I'm sure the prosecution won't use looters and so forth and so on as descriptions, right?
Why not?
No, not the prosecution. The prosecution is trying to prosecute the Rittenhouse. I'm sure his defense will use those terms if they so see fit. What I'm saying is, as a prosecutor,
right,
to sway the jury. And I'm getting a head shake. No, I want to bring her on now. You know what? Before we do this, if it's okay with you, okay, if you say what you were gonna say, and then I don't want to cut you off. So say what you were gonna say, and then I want to hold it for when Pam Keith Esquire comes on, so that as an attorney she can help us with my question anyway. I'm sorry.
We're just seeing things played out before our very eyes, and if they, I think there has to be some radical movement with regard to how and who they have on the bench. And yes, I agree with you, Sage. It's got to start. Elections have to start at a local level. We've got to get these folks that have been sitting on some of these benches that we know what their agenda is out of there. Period. And hold them accountable. And certain things like that are just, it feels like it's just a moral travesty first, and a play on words is a play on lives. And we know, the difference today, and things that were routinely going on, because this didn't just start for someone, a lot of these people have momentum on this bullshit, they got momentum on it, and it didn't just start. So, and then you got people spending a whole lot of money pushing these candidates that they know are going to keep this agenda up, That's why it's so important that, there's a lot of backdoor scene work that needs to be done, and hey, Misty. And it's just, it's a travesty. That whole thing is like, you're looking at it and you're like, what? They're not allowed to call victims, but you can say what? You can call them every other adjective?
Criminals, whatever you want to, any negative derogatory words you want to use.
How does that become the ruling? How does that even become the ruling?
This is why I want to ask an attorney.
Well,
you know what? Because I care about you so much, and I really do. It's hands down. Everybody knows I do, right? When you put out a question like that, even though it may be rhetorical, but it's a real question, I really want to give you an answer. But I know my answer is going to be wrong. Or it may not be wrong. It may be close to factual. I mean, I used to spend a lot of time in court. No, I've not been in trouble. Well, not been in trouble, but not that kind of trouble. But anyway.
Do you understand you are absolutely talking to the person that would be behind the judge's room going back and forth with the court attorney? Because some stuff and being able to negotiate some stuff that you just that doesn't make sense at the bench,
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you and I both then, and you know what I do. So you know I've been in
Mhm.
court a lot. So we both, right? But there are just some things and some attorneys that I've worked with over the years, in my opinion, have not used their full potentials. Some of their skills have been lacking, in my opinion. So
You
with that
know,
being said, I just want to say
you know what's funny? It depends on the circle because you got to remember the attorneys are
people too.
well, they're people also, but you know they have to appear to. Okay, put it like this: I had an attorney tell me once, you know, Terez, I have to be here tomorrow on other cases, right?
I got that. And they don't want to upset the judge. I get that.
And so my thing is, you know, I'm pretty sure, and my response to that is okay, because I'm looking for how this emotional mix has anything to do with what you're arguing. I said, well, then take your emotion out of it and just state some facts. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, you don't want to piss them off. And I'm like, so all this boils down to somebody being somebody's feelings? What happened to this law? Because it becomes, you know, particularly, you know, I said, I don't have a feeling for the judge. I just want to state what it is. So he goes and he tries to tap dance. And of course, he and I go back in the hallway and we're going back and forth. And he comes back in and then he starts every word with my client would like, my client would like. Before it wasn't that. He was just arguing. It was my client. So I said, oh, we've been, you know, in my head, I'm saying, oh, we've been separated here. But how about the judge started leaning in and started participating?
Yeah.
And we end up getting what we wanted. So then we come out and he wants to go see, this is the way you got to approach things. No, no, and no. You just got tired of my mouth in the hallway. You went in, you persuaded in a different way, but you separated from me because you started saying my client. I'm clear on that.
Yeah.
And then we walk out what we need.
Yeah, I get you. I get you. But you know, I don't know. That maybe you know, I don't know. Whatever. But I get you. I've been there too. I've been there too.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. I don't know. What are you gonna do?
And
We're gonna
what?
figure out to the best of our ability today what can and cannot occur maybe in terms of how these judges are handling these particular cases. I have questions.
Yeah, I had an argument, not an argument, a very strong conversation with someone who thought that the Democrats are basically failing us in certain aspects. And they're opting to be liberal now. I said, you know, and then someone said, vote splitter.
You know what? I really wish that we could get the attention of certain political figures so that they could come on the show and respond to some of this stuff.
Why?
I believe that with our guest today, we're at the start of that. I really believe that because she ran for office, over 52,000 freaking votes, and won the Democratic primary in Florida, which is a big state with big stakes, you know? So, you know, this platform um is important. We have an important fan base, audience, family base, family, you know, our basement dwellers. What did we call them the other day? The people who watch the show,
Co-stars,
co-stars, but it was something in the chat or something. I can't remember.
chatterboxes.
The chatterboxes. Yeah, we have the chatterboxes, the basement dwellers. We have our listeners on the podcast system, which they can all hear us. I believe the show is live on the podcast, but the calling system is a problem today for whatever reason, and it's not me. It's the site. So another thing She said, jurors amongst your peers. Is this the topic? Elisa, it's one of the topics, one of many. What I'm trying to do right now, because I know you see me looking off to the side, is I am trying to get the direct link to the live stream to our special guest so that she can share it on her various platforms, so that they can follow along on YouTube. And then, since they will not be able to call in if they put their comments here, then we can put them up like this on the screen and read them out loud as they are appropriate.
I agree with you, Sage.
Sage says, I'm always confused at how Republicans can pull all kinds of crap to the detriment of the country, but when Dems fail to walk on water in a matter of minutes, they failed. That is so freaking true. If you think about it, the senator, the ex-senator, Al Franken, right? From
Al
Saturday
Franken.
Night Live fame. Right? He was a senator. There was an old picture that surfaced of him hugging what was either his girlfriend or some woman that he was close friends with at the time. They made a little stink about it. He resigned. We had what is it? A POS they call it? Oh, a POTUS. Right. Who allegedly raped a child, had 25 women saying he did some, and they all love him. How many of them have all of the? There's still Matt Gaetz. There's all of these Republicans. They do all kinds of drama, and nothing had that. They're all good with the Republicans, and the problem is that okay. Democrats are making themselves look like I want to say another P word, but I'm going to say punks. Because they won't fight, they won't, sometimes if you're in a boxing match, right? And the other person is hitting below the belt and the referee is allowing that to happen and you still trying to fight within the rules, you're going to get your ass whipped. Sometimes you got to hit below the belt too. I'm not saying, God bless the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, but ain't but so much cheek turning one can do.
And see, that's the thing. We're looking like, and that goes back to the question we had the two grumpy men on. It's like, okay, part of us, we gotta, and I'm always one to say, okay, by the time they do X, Y, and Z, I may not even be on the planet, right? But there are a ton of other folks that mobilize that will be. And they're looking at us like we are freaking crazy, okay? And when I said, the point about do we think that we've failed our millennials, and one said yes, and one said no, and one said yes, and I wanted to hear from how do you think we failed them? Because we get up in here and start arguing and acting out and, meeting people where they are when we know they're demonstrating bad behavior. It's like folks are looking at us and saying, no wonder this world is in a shit bag, and we cherry pick our moments to want to be great. Like, systemically, there's some things that just have to change because it doesn't make sense. And how about it didn't make sense before? We had some really powerful people on this show talk about the indoctrination as opposed to education in this country. And, and the oldest, we've been operating for the last 2 years in 2 simultaneous pandemics. I say that all the time, the oldest being racism. And then we have this other stuff now that is forcing certain things. Our economics are trash. Okay. But yet we still want to rank somewhere within all the rest of the countries. How, Sway? I just want to know how at this point. Where are we at with this? Because, we don't even rank it. We're not even top 3 or top 5 in sciences and math and like what's happening right now. And then we get a bunch of bickering. And honestly, the plane, Republican, Democrat, it's the same plane, then just different wings, you know? And at this point, like, what can we do together to make this country a better place? And I'm tired of, quite frankly, politicians running. You know, only thing we lead in, actually, in this country, I'm sorry, let me correct myself, is the incarceration rate for people of color. No, we definitely lead in that, you know, and again, shout out to Philadelphia for making some changes in laws. At least they're going to start at a local level to start to dismantle some of these petty crimes, so that we don't have any more Sandra Bland's sitting on the deck, you know. But there's so much more work to do there, you know. What are we doing? We had 2 people running for office saying how deplorable certain things are, and what are we doing? You know, and it's my take, you know, and again, this is my take. You can throw up the disclaimers now, you know.
Yes, the opinions, by the way, let me just say it first and then I'll put it in.
There we go.
I've been distracted. But the opinions and the words stated here are those of the individuals that are making those statements and citing those opinions, and not necessarily those of WJBR Internet Radio or its affiliate in the basement.
Thank you. It is my opinion that some of the things need to be lined up, you know, and then to be classified. You know, what disturbs me is to be classified as the black vote. Wow. 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 Ha ha ha. That's all I got to say about that.
Okay. I know one thing. If the black vote, which the black vote has proven itself to be extremely important to the Democratic Party.
Yeah, but they tap dance for it, and then we're slow and moving with whatever the agenda is.
At least it looks that way, like, right? Like black women in Alabama and blah, blah, blah. All right, whatever. But then...
No, it is that way. It's very important.
But then you're catering to everyone except, and then so you're taking those votes for granted.
And folks are starting to talk about how these folks are looking like we got the okie doke.
And it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good. And we're all going to suffer for it. We're all going to suffer for it, because if we're not motivated to go out and vote, then our vote is then put in danger. Our ability to vote. But how long can we continue to vote for people who claim to have our best interests at heart, but don't have it? You see, the proof is in the pudding. You have to act. It's what you do, not what you say, that's going to sway the feet to move your way. I just felt like I had to make a poem out of that, because JaVonne said, hey, and she's our resident poet. So I started to realize that, wait, that kind of rhymes. Wait, let's go with that.
She's in a bubbly mood today, JaVonne.
You know why, JaVonne? Do you want to know?
She's going to see Shaka tonight. We get to talk politics early. She's in a bubbly mood, JaVonne. I'm sorry.
But wait. I'm okay. I'm not gonna say it. I'm just not. All right, I can't help it. I have to say it. Y'all know me. I can't. This is why I do. I can't shut up. And usually I have nobody to listen to. But thank you, Terez, for coming and meeting with me every week, twice a week, Wednesday nights from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and on Saturday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. First of all, I just wanted to let people know when they can see us. It's my way of giving the times. And also, I am loquacious. I have to get it out. I just have to. Sometimes the things that we think, we don't need to say it out loud, right? Like some things are better just leave it in your head. Don't even freaking say it.
Half the things I don't. More than half of things just don't come out, And my head has an independent operation, but more than half just don't come out.
I know. But guess what? All right. I ain't gonna say it though. All right, I'm gonna be quiet. It'll come out. It'll come out. But all right.
So what else is happening, man?
You know what? Let me just, before I get myself in trouble and lose our special guest, because she's very smart, very, and if
I want
JaVonne,
to know what she thinks about this mess.
I know, aren't you? It's like I'm building up that anticipation. Are you talking about me as the mess, or
No, not this. No, I'm talking about this mess of. You know what I really want to know? Because we got somebody that's coming on that is that, in my opinion, and her bio is
I look at everybody like, yeah,
her bio speaks for itself, right?
Yes.
And but I don't want to talk about any of her bio because they can access that.
Well,
they can.
Yeah, we should introduce her as.
No. Hear me out. What I'm saying is, I don't want to talk about her bio because you can access that. She's a brilliant lady, right?
Yes, brilliant.
And I would like to, and
LaVonne. I just want to say for LaVonne.
Wait a minute. Hang on one second.
Hang on 1 second. Go ahead.
Hang on 1 second. She's a brilliant lady, right? And I would like to know what it is now. From Florida, and I've got relative. Well, my bonus daughter lives in that district, and there's 7 people there for me personally, and I would like to know, given how smart she is, before, let's say, she did anything politically, right? We got, and that's where you're going to lead off with all of her accolades that she's. What is the drive? What drive internally does one possess to be in Florida, to be a woman of color, educated woman of color, to want to defend this particular region and things beyond, coming in, she did amazing. I think she needs to be in that seat, quite frankly. But I want to know what that seed was internally, I want to know what that seed was internally for her. And that's a very personal thought. It's not a political response. It's a very personal response, particularly as it comes down to, certain things. As I wouldn't move to Florida. Their politics has always been a little sus to me down there. Not as sus as it was decades ago when you had the brothers in cahoots. But, some areas to retire in, particularly LGBT, just don't work in Florida. But tax-wise, there may be some things that work in Florida. So you kind of have to pick your poison. But, as a Democrat, I would love to know, what that seed was for her personally. Now, please continue.
Okay, so now she has a lot of time to think about the answer to that question. And that's a good thing. She can. And so what I was going to say to LaVonne is that she's also ex-military personnel. And I know that resonates with you, LaVonne, that she spent some time in the Navy. So that it's just, she's the perfect fit for this platform. And I'm really hoping that we can all somehow band together and support her and figure out a way to get her that seat in Florida, because Florida needs someone like Pam. Florida needs that, and for all the reasons that you just said. See, you always make me get serious again. I'm serious again. I was going to say she's just fine, but you're right. She's brilliant. She is fine though. But,
JaVonne.
But seriously, she's brilliant. So yeah, there's that.
I got a whole family, and they got families down in Port St. Lucie and other areas that, when I said that, I said, when I found out where exactly, what area she was actually representing, I said, holy whoa.
Yep.
Do I have two friends, and so on and so on and so on. And I've just, so I immediately I was on the phone and I was like, yo, do you guys, what the hell are y'all doing down there? Like,
yeah. And
like,
I see her on a bigger stage nationally. I would like to see that. Also, she's an AKA, I believe. I'm getting the head nod. So, there's that. So let's
But see, the last time we fell for the Chuck and Pearls, I don't know.
That I hear what you're saying. So because you have that, she's this is one of the reasons she's perfect for this platform. You have questions, and sometimes you throw them at me the way you throw them at me. I have no answers.
Well, it's rhetorical.
I'm not pink and green or whatever the colors are.
No. I know. I don't throw them at you expecting a response that saves the day. I really don't.
But I'm Mighty Mouse.
Just,
don't you understand who I am? I am here I come to save the day.
Yes, I understand. And I know that taps on, excuse me, other sensibilities. I just, it's rhetorical because it's frustrating, because we're looking like clowns. I'm telling you. I'm talking to the 30, the 30 to 45-year-olds, and well, I'll say 25 to 45-year-olds. They're like, yeah, I'm getting beat up here. And I'm like, wait a second. Okay, well, that's a good point. Well, okay, well, you know what? You're right. It's crazy in these streets. And then they turn around and say, when I say, you know what, I'm taking a busload of y'all to go vote, they're like, what? What do you mean go vote? For who and why? And this, and and then the debates, like I said, many times the debates are supposed to be an area, and I'm just talking about the presidential, but the debates are supposed to be an area where you can hear about what they want and what they intend to do, and they, you get to ask questions. But as of late, like, you had a non-politician run for the highest seat, get in there and act a complete fool, and win it.
Yep.
Complete fool. And we were like, and all being traumatized for 4 years.
That Hillary was going to win, or they didn't vote for Hillary because of her emails, which turned out to be nothing. Just a bunch of.
They didn't vote for Hillary because she was a woman.
That's the other thing. I mean, they're for so many stupid reasons. But you know what? I think that this is a good time to do our Black History moment. And it's a good time to do our Black History moment. So let's do that. Okay, so today in Black History, let's see. James Weldon Johnson and his brother, Rosamond Johnson, composed Lift Every Voice and Sing. The two brothers composed what has become one of the most respected, honored, and revered songs of African American culture. Lift Every Voice and Sing, generally referred to as the Black National Anthem. James Weldon Johnson wrote the lyrics, while J. Rosamond Johnson composed the hymn, Lift Every Voice and Sing. And it was first publicly performed live in 1900 by 500 African American students who attended the segregated Stanton School in Jacksonville, Florida, which obviously falls in line with today's show. On June 17th, 1871, civil rights activist, author, songwriter, lawyer, and educator James Weldon Johnson was born in Jacksonville, Florida. His poetic creativity was accompanied by his gift of leadership, especially with the National Association of the Advancement of Colored People, NAACP, where he served as the first African American executive secretary for the organization. He was also an attorney and the first African American admitted to the Florida bar exam after construction. and later served as a diplomat in Venezuela and Nicaragua as the U.S. consul. Johnson taught as a professor of creative literature and writing at Fisk University and was the first African American professor at New York University. He died in June of 1938. And with that, here is a photograph of said sir and his brother, the composer. And I would like to also share this wonderful, wonderful updated rendition that I found. And I think everybody's going to enjoy this. Actually, I have to say, full self-disclosure, Rez, this actually brought a tear to my eye because I'm sensitive.
To lift, to love, and to give, that is the question. But there is one thing greater: to open up your heart and to let it sing. There's no walls, no barrier resistant that can stop the great tide of the everlasting hope. So through it all, keep hope alive.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmony of liberty.
Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Let it ring, 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 let free to ring, let it 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 ring. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, Thou who hast brought us thus far along the way, Thou who hast by Thy might laid us into the light. Keep us forever in the path, forever in the path we pray. Let it ring, let it ring, let it ring, oh, let it ring, all over the world, yeah, yeah. Sing a song of faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us, facing the So singing kept us sane. Songs of all culture, they helped us come together. National language of love, so music is forever. As we march on, the victory is won. We still have a way to go, but yes, we still begun. Let's make a joyful noise, and let's all sing. We came a long way, so let freedom ring. The whole world sing in perfect harmony.
You know what touched me so much? I mean, forget about what the song has meant to me throughout my life, but the idea that this was written in 1900, by whom it was written by, and the circumstances of that day, and the young people today are still singing it and making it their own, and that we have so much further to go. We have so much more to go, so much more to do. It we barely, I don't know. Anyway, for me that was a lot when I ran across that. So I just want to share that with everybody. And with that, since you're silent right now,
Well, I just so many things go through my head when I hear that song, and then the video kind of snapped some of the images, and I had to take it in for a moment, and these are not the same kids we were, you know. They are less interested in the kumbaya and the marching, and they want the change, and at the risk of whatever. And you can't sugarfoot them the same way we were, because they ain't dancing and marching to this stuff. You know what I mean? You know, and with no disrespect intended, to any parts of the movement. I'm a child of the movement to some degree, but it's just interesting. It makes me take a deep breath. It just goes, you know, 'cause how long we gonna keep doing this? Like we just have to have and be able to come in and do things and say stuff and be our authentic selves doing it. Not come into the rooms and change up. Not come into the rooms and have to code switch, not come into the rooms, and just, we just have to do it, and everything can't be at white folks' sensibility either,
Misty had made a comment, and I didn't see it or catch it at the time
hmm
when I was talking about how Democrats are acting all soft and like punks, and why we're not hitting below the belt in the same way. And she says, then you become what you hate, which is true.
Facts.
Oh God, you should see Pam Keith in the green room. She's like, no, no, no. She want to go hard. She ready. She ready. She ready. Okay, so you know what? I think why drag it out any longer? Let you ready to bring our special guest on? I mean, technically, she had 5 more minutes to sit and chill.
Nah, bring
She
her up.
she
Bring
getting
her up.
she getting ready. She ready. She ready. Uh-oh, she throwing joints. She back there throwing joints. Let's bring her
Nice.
on. Yo, ladies and gentlemen, basement dwellers and chatterbox people.
Yes.
Pam Keith.
It is
So
It is
Welcome.
a pleasure. I have had so much that I wanted to add, and I'm just like, oh, thank you for bringing me up. It's a pleasure to be with you, Terez, JaVonne, Sage. It is such a pleasure. So thank you for the invitation.
Awesome.
thank you so
awesome.
much for
Thank you for
coming on. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, but let me just. I mean, all right. So you usually would do the introduction before I bring you on, but you just kind of have me all excited and whatnot. So I'll do it while you're sitting here, just to let some of the people know who may not know who you are. Miss Keith served in the United States Navy from 95 to 99. She earned bachelor's and master's degree from the University of California. She's an attorney. She got the JD from Boston College Law School in 95. She has worked as an attorney, and she ran for Senate, was it?
First time, yep.
And again, slaughtered, absolutely slaughtered her Democratic what is it?
It's a primary. It's a primary. Yeah. I mean, slaughtered is. I did a lot more than anybody ever thought a Black woman could. How about
look?
that?
She won 79% of the vote. Okay,
that was in the congressional run. Yes, that was the next
time. In that region.
Yeah, that time. Yeah.
Just crazy. No matter how you look at it, it speaks a lot. It speaks volumes. And we're enthused to have you, obviously, and we have nothing but the highest hopes for your future career, and I hope it's continued politics.
Thank you. Well, I always feel like you can be a leader whether you have a title or not.
Absolutely.
So I'm a leader whether I'm a politician or whether I'm elected or not. Right. But before I get to anything else, I just have to say something about the video that you just showed. Right. Because it's so important that we contextualize what terrifies the folks that look at something like that. You see, every generation of Black people has found a way to express joy and optimism and hope, and every single way that they have done so has influenced the entire country. Even from the days of the Negro spirituals, Black people's creativity, ingenuity, and optimism is what drove national conversations. And all this time, folks who are intimidated by that have been trying to tamp it down. But I want people to understand that in the future, the only thing we're ever going to pay for is creativity and authentic human connection, because machines will do everything else. Right? So what you looked at in that video is the only thing we're going to spend money on in 2050 or 2060 or 2070. And that ought to make you really happy, because it comes naturally to us. Talent, artistic talent, humor, affection. We decide what is and what is not cool across the globe, right? If you want to be a great Tejano artist, you're going to have a little Black in what you do. If you want to be a great country artist right now, you're going to have a little Black in what you do. Doesn't matter where you are, you're going to be absorbing what the Black community is putting out, because that is the essence of that connection and creativity that we've always had to have to survive what was put on us. So I look at that video and I see all these talented young Black people, but what I see is the only thing worth buying in the future, because everything else will be produced by machines, and you can never produce that kind of soul by a machine. So I look at it, and it just makes me optimistic. I just had to say it.
Nice.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That's amazing, and it's true. And for centuries and forever, that's who we are. That's what we bring to the table.
Well, they know that. They
Yeah,
know
it's
that.
not cool
You know.
unless we say so. From fashion to sports to social conversations to relationships, it's not cool unless we say so. And so, I'd be intimidated by that too.
Absolutely. Love our culture, don't love us. Okay. So, it is what it is. And yes, we were super, super clear on that. And I would, well, put it like this, in mind's eye that we're clear on that. Now, how that shows up, I would just love to see us continue to walk in a room being our authentic selves, and we can do it. But for some reason, there's this code switching that goes on, and and I've been in the rooms, and watched it, and I'm like, wait a second, we just had this conversation outside.
And I talk about that stuff all the time because part of what I do is help corporations understand how to engage with Black people. But I want to talk about what Misty just said. If you give me a little license, because she's like, well, then you become what you hate. And I was like, no, honey. Fighting as hard as your opponent doesn't mean you have the same motivation and intention as your opponent. Right?
Okay.
You don't become your opponent because you're willing to fight as hard as they are. Right? They're fighting for what is wrong. You can fight for what is right, but you should never cede ground in the fight for what is right. And if you have to fight dirty in the fight for what is right, then you fight dirty. You don't necessarily become dirty in the process because you at least stay cognizant of what you're doing and why you're doing it. Right? I don't think we ever have to fear that we're going to turn into Nazis because it ain't in us. It's not in our DNA. Our ancestors started that. That's not in us. So I don't think you need to fear that. What I think people really need to fear is when we decide to swing as hard. That is something they need to fear because we've been holding back all this time. It has never occurred to us to bum rush the Capitol. Not ever. But it's not like it couldn't.
Now that's true.
That's just a false fear. That's just a false fear. There's no chance that I will ever become Ted Cruz. I'm not worried about it.
How about that?
Okay.
If I were him, I'd worry about me. But, that's just not in the cards. That's not in the offing. Am I willing to go as hard as Ted Cruz in the name of what is right for my people? Absolutely. Might even go harder.
And since you brought up Ted Cruz, let's talk about DeSantis.
Do we have to?
No, we don't have to, but he's the governor of your state, right?
He is, but again, Misty just posted a comment here. She's like, I don't think people look at it and say it's okay because it's for a different reason. I was like, I don't care what people think. That's not the point.
That's
the point is to defeat you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, if I successfully defeat you, do I care about your opinion about it? Not even a little bit, because they sure care about our opinions about what they're doing to us.
Now that's true.
There lies the facts.
And if we are successful, if we defeat them, and what we do with that trophy or that win is we make things right, then it was well worth it.
Absolutely. They're used to it. But just like they have forced us to accept and deal with the things that they do to us, right? They're not taking our poll or opinion about the tactics that they use, right? They're not sitting there trying to win friends and influence people through the things that they do. They just know that they're seizing power. They're gerrymandering us out of existence. They're loading up our courts with activist, racist judges. They're not asking anybody's opinion about what we think about that. And yet those judges are still there making decisions about you. And yet those legislators are still passing laws that affect you. Do they actually care that we're upset about it?
No.
Not even a little bit. That's why this whole Democrats shaming them on the Voting Rights Act or whatever annoys me so much. You cannot shame people who are in a siege mentality. The Republican Party is in a siege mentality. Anything is justifiable to them in the name of preserving white supremacy. So you can't shame somebody who thinks that they're at war and that we're their enemy and they have to defeat the enemy. You can't shame them.
Shame requires a conscience, and they don't have it.
They care about our thoughts about them. They don't. So that's why we have such an incongruity in our politics. We have an incongruity in our politics because Democrats are expected to act with decency and restraint and bipartisanship and trying to do the right thing. And so when we step out of line a little bit, the social civility police come down on us like a ton of bricks, while Rittenhouse over here or Ted Cruz over here or whatever, they can do any old damn thing because they're not expected to be decent. We've given up on the idea that the GOP would be decent and is held to a standard of decency. There's only one team held to any standard of decency, and that's us. Not only does the entire mainstream media hold us to a decency standard, we hold each other to a decency standard, and the other side is just straight wilding out. Right? So you're just not going to decency police me, period. Full stop. It's war. I understand. I am a former military, as said. It's war. I don't care about the opinion of my enemy. I care about defeating my enemy. And if at some point in time in the future we have to coexist, we'll figure it out. That's what the Japanese did. Right? That's what the Germans did. Eventually, they figured out how to get along with the people who beat them. Eventually, white people will figure out how to get along with the people who beat them. But first, we've got to beat them.
You're absolutely correct. There's a reason that they're afraid of you.
Because she's straight talking, and this is the kind of, and pardon me, may I call you Pam?
Of course, everybody does.
Okay. I didn't know if you, Miss Keith. I don't want to assume anything.
No ceremony like that, girl. It's not like that.
Okay. Wonderful. Okay. So, and this is my thing. Like I get, like, I'm listening here. I'm literally salivating because I'm like, okay. Love everything you're saying. I am less orthodox and less concerned with politics, quite frankly. But I do have an understanding of what's needed. I have an understanding on, and people have called me intimidating, and I hate that when it comes down to having any kind of adjective for Black women, because a lot of us are just straight talkers. We see the issue at hand. We don't have time for the extra stuff, just let us get to the problem and let's just get to the stuff, because there's going to be other stuff coming behind it. But what I find is that when we speak to folks that are in these offices, and first I want to go back to what motivates you, but where I get lost is they come in talking this way, and when they get the seats or they start to ascend, it's like it's a whole different person you're dealing with. Right. The further they go through the political trash can, and it becomes what? Then you in there code switching, and it's like, who is this woman, Harpo? Like, this is not the same person. And I know that it's, there's some licks to be taken, and depending on how you are wired, a lot of things come out of that. But
I think people misunderstand how the political game is played.
Okay.
Right? Because they focus on policy, what you're going to vote on, what are you going to introduce, and that is not politics, really.
Okay.
Politics is 99% of your time is fundraising, and the other 10% of your time is trying to stave off disaster. Right?
Break that down a little more.
Right. That very little of your time is actually policy focused as a politician. You have people around who are constantly telling you whether you're up or down in the polls or whether you're up or down in the money, because that's the only thing the media actually reports on. So if your goal is re-election, if your goal is staying in power, then you start to be hyper influenced by what your consultants tell you about how people are responding to what you say. And the less you say, the less you worry about what you say. So there's an incentive to say less and less and less. When you're a baby candidate, you just say whatever, and then you kind of take your licks. But once you get elected, you now have something to protect. So you say less and less. And as a Black woman in particular, every word you say is going to be scrutinized, right? And to the nth degree, right? So unless you're in a really, really safe district where your voters are going to come for you and stay for you, it is much safer as an elected official to just say as little as possible, right? Because it makes it easier to fundraise and it makes it easier to get reelected if there's less for people to attack you on. So you become massaged into saying less. I can tell you this because, that when I was the first time I ran, I just said whatever. Then you get a team around you says, no, you can't say that. No, 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 you can't say that, right? Oh, because that could upset this group. Or, I could write a whole book about what happened when I took on Big Sugar, right? Like, like you have to be very cautious, because the first rule of politics is get in power, and the second rule of politics is stay in power. There's nothing on the list that says do the right thing, right? Like, so that's why the priority is always about making sure that you've buffered yourself from criticism and that you haven't irritated the people who move levers on your side. The people who move levers on our side are not interested in activists. They're interested in people who will go along with a certain agenda. If you do not telegraph that you are going to go along with that agenda to their satisfaction, good luck getting the support and the help that you need to win, because it takes a whole lot of money. So unless you are self-funding, you got to play the game. And what you find is that the game is much easier to play when you do certain things and you don't do other things. That molds people's behavior. So if you go into office knowing right away that you are not going to run for re-election, then you might find people who will actually use those 2 years or those 4 years to do what they say they're going to do. But it becomes enticing to run again and again and again. Pretty soon it's the only life you know. And then you've convinced yourself that the only way the people of your district will get represented is by you being in that seat. You reject categorically that anybody else could represent them better. And so you've commingled in your mind that service to the people is you staying in power. And then it becomes an offense if anybody tries to challenge you. You become a crusader in protection of the people, which is really in protection of your own power.
In your mind.
In your mind, because they become completely commingled in your mind. And the longer you're in office, the more that becomes the case.
All I can think as you're speaking, it sounds like you're speaking about Mitch McConnell.
I'm talking about all politics.
No, I got you, all of them.
But absolutely, it's Mr. McConnell. Absolutely, it's inherent. It's inherent because the longer you are in power, the more connections you have, the more movers and shakers you know, the more seniority you get. This idea that Congress is run on seniority, to me, is insane. But anyway, like the longer you're there, the more entrenched you are. Right? You have the name recognition, you have the machinery in your district that's going to turn votes out for you, and so on and so forth. Nobody's going to actually say, oh, well, somebody else could do a better job of this than I do. That's how Carly got caught flat-footed by AOC, because he had the entire machine working for him. Right? Now, would AOC work in a district like Florida 18? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But she knew her audience in her district, and she did the work in her district. Right. And now you're starting to hear her say things in a more restrained way.
Which is very interesting.
Right. Not that she's not doing her activism her way, but she's way more restrained now than she was when she first got in there. Why? Because you have a couple nightmare days of bad press with your staff and histrionics. And you learned that it's distracting. It's negative. You don't know how it's going to play out. People are already all over you. It becomes a problem.
And everybody went after her.
Right. And her own caucus was like, you got to rein it in because, you're comparing me to you. So you got to stop talking. Like, that's the way the inner caucus stuff works. So Terez, in answer to your question, you vote for someone and you think they're going to be all of this, and then the whole system shuts them down. It's like, absolutely. Because to survive that system, you've got to pull it way back.
So what do you say to the 25 to 45-year-olds that say this is trash then?
I say run for office your dang self. I honestly think that it is a cop-out to say the system isn't working for me, so I'm going to check out the system. No, if the system isn't working for you, fix the system. And the way you fix the system is get in there and make it look more like you. Any enterprise that we enter looks more like us because we're there. That is true of every enterprise in America. The military, corporate CEO suites, the sports, it looks like us when we're there. So the idea that I'm going to sit back and be mad that it doesn't do what I want it to do. Well,
no, not necessarily sit back and be mad, but given all that you have shared about what happens to even the best of you, and how, it becomes about what the people control you to do. How is that an enticing argument
Because
for folks for folks, hear me out. How is that an enticing argument for folks that hear you? Because I'm listening, and I'm one of those folks, quite frankly. I'll just be full transparent, because it's like you hear about it, and running for office sounds enticing, but after what you've just shared, that is facts.
Mm-hmm.
How is one to be excited about that anyway, if you're saying it's less about politics and less about what's doing right? I'm sorry, that's what you said.
And what I'll tell you is that there's always safety in numbers. No matter where we go as Black folks, there's always safety in numbers. There's always, so if you're the first Black woman in an enterprise, it's not going to look like you. You're going to have to adjust to the people around you. If you're the 5th Black woman in an enterprise, still pretty dodgy. If you're the 50th or the 500th, then it starts to look like you. And the things that you care about and the way that you do things start to take a bigger role and a bigger part of that enterprise. Pretty soon you're the CEO and it is you, right? So that is how when you say, well, how do you make it enticing? Well, if there's only one AOC, it's not going to look like AOC. But if there's 50 AOCs, it's going to start to look like a lot more like her. I mean, think about it. When Bernie Sanders first started talking about $15 minimum wage, it was like, yo, crazy. Right. He got enough people elected talking about $15 minimum wage. That became orthodox Democratic policy, $15 minimum wage. Duh. Now let's go bigger. Right. That's exactly how it changes. It's safety in numbers, especially in politics, more so than anything else. It's safety in numbers. So flood your school board, flood your city council, flood your state county commissions, flood your state house, flood the Congress with people who think and look like you and care about what you care about. But conceding turf never wins anything, period, full stop.
That is so true.
Right.
That is so true and on point. The more I think about, and I needed to, I brought you on because I wanted someone for a lot of reasons. And I thought there were questions that other people had that you may be able to address. But here it is, you're answering questions for me that I subconsciously had. I didn't even realize that I had some questions, and you it's like light bulbs just popping off in my head right now. I see the change, the potential of the change happening the more we flood it, because remember, I can't think of her name, but the lady who is now representative, and she slept on the stairs until
Cori Bush.
Yes, Cori Bush. But Cori Bush alone, people would have thought she was just some odd representative, right? But she had support. There were people that so guess what?
We got it done. Right.
We got it done.
It was the eviction. It was the eviction issue.
Yes,
and she got
moratorium.
Progressive caucus to stand with her. And then some of the other centrists were like, well, we can't let them get all the credit. So, that's how you move things. But Terez, I want to answer your question about what motivates me, because maybe that'll help you understand a little bit how I answer these questions. God made me a very unusual creature from get-go. I was born a fighter and an arguer and a person who just didn't have the back down bone. I just don't have it. I never have. Right. So I understood that. It took me a while to figure out kind of what my lane was going to be. But I had an epiphany when I was in my 20s, when the whole Rodney King thing happened. I know that's old for a lot of people, but I was on fire when that happened. Right. Like I was looking at the TV, yelling at the TV about what the lawyers should be asking and how they could let these officers off and blah, blah, blah. And I was losing it. And I had a moment that was like, oh, I want to be a lawyer because I think I would be better at it than they are. Right. And so once I got that in my mind that I was going to be a lawyer, I made a plan and I executed a plan to get into law school. All right. So I got into law school. What I did not do was make a plan to pay for law school, but that's a separate thing. But anyway, I managed to get through. Right. And then I went into the military as a JAG. I was a JAG officer, like that movie, their television show, or that movie, A Few Good Men. That's what I did. I defended sailors and Marines that got themselves into trouble, but I spent all my time on my feet arguing on their behalf, right? Like that, and helping them out of their fixes, And so that was developing a skill set Then I went into big corporate white shoe law firms, right? And I learned how to write and I learned how to compete amongst the best of the best, right? The smartest, most, you know, top-notch thinkers out there, or at least as corporate America would say, right? And so I learned how to thrive in that environment. And I did that for a long time, right? I got brought to Florida to be in-house counsel for one of the biggest energy companies in the country, right? So I learned in-house and I learned energy, clean and renewable energy. I learned all this stuff. This is great, right? But I had another one of those epiphanies. Because at that point, I had military background, foreign policy background. I had a law degree and lots of years of litigation experience. I had all of this. And I kept asking myself, is the most I'm going to do with all of this solving corporate problems? Not that there's anything wrong with solving corporate problems. But I knew in that moment that I was called to something else. Everything that I built in my background was to put me at best use for my people. And my people is not just Black people. My people is people in desperate need of a champion, of a warrior, of a fearless advocate. And so I just decided that I'm going to spend the rest of my breathing years fighting for people and fixing what I see is wrong. And with every bit of energy that I've got, right? With every creative idea, every bit of energy and time that I have is put to fighting for for the people, to do it the best way that I know how. And I'm totally 100% satisfied with that choice, whether it's financially remunerative to me or not, right? Whether it's popular or not, whether I grow my Twitter following or I don't. I don't care. I am in my lane, standing on the shoulders of women like Shirley Chisholm, like you know, so many other, Harriet Tubman, and so many, like my grandmother Gertrude, right, who could never live out her dream, live in her talent, right? Like, so every time I get irritated about how hard it is for me, I check myself. And I say, I got a chance to run for United States Congress. I have a law degree. I've lived all over the world. I speak 3 languages. I was a military officer. I got nothing to complain about, right? Because no matter how hard it is for me, I don't live in micron of how hard it was for my great-grandmother and her great-grandmother. So if they endured what they endured to get me here, then at least I can put up with the crap I have to get sure that our children and our grandchildren get where they need to go. That's the only purpose I have on this planet. It's the only thing that I wake up every day jazzed to do. So if you ask me what's my motivation, is there a better one?
Now that I hear it, no. I don't hear it. Now that I hear it, no. That works fine, you know? That works fine.
That's my fire. That is the source of my fire, my passion, my energy, my resilience, all of it. It all comes from the ancestors.
Wonderful. And like, again, like I the only thing I could do prior to meeting you, and I'm pleasantly happy that I have, you know, was read what is written. But quite frankly, we're tired of reading what's written. You know, it's become a kinetic America. It really has. And less about what people say and more about what people do. Anybody can spend time doing a flashy bio, you know? And like I'm sitting right now, but you know, I come from a space where I'm watching more community organizing that don't want to get into politics. You know? I mean, like with large folks following them that could, you know, and them having meetings in like homes with like, take Philadelphia, for example. Some of the and that's because I know some of the landscape there, but I also know that there are more meetings going on in people's homes to decide what a large population of folks are doing, and they're not politicians, you know? It feels like the Underground Railroad piece again, you know?
I just think we have a bad lexicon, Terez. That is absolutely politics.
They're not politicians that are having these meetings.
Again, wrong word. They are politicians. Everything is politics. The difference that you're talking about is party politics, perhaps, or orthodox politics. Because when you move votes, you're a politician, straight up. Grandmama who feeds the whole community that everybody calls on the Thursday before the election to say, who should I be voting for, is a politician, right? She may not think of herself that way.
Definitely not.
Right? But if she's moving votes, she's more valuable to a candidate than a check. Because a check is supposed to move votes for you. But if somebody will move votes for you for free, they're even more valuable to you than the check writer. I am a candidate. I understand what it took to go find votes. I understood who could actually move votes. People go to the big flashy church, give a little honorarium to the pastor, and think that that's going to get you votes out of that church. What you don't know is that Deaconess Beverly is the one who's actually going to get the actual choir to go out into the congregation and say, no, we're supporting this one. This is one ours. Like, if you don't know that, then you are caught up in the trappings without understanding politics.
Yeah, but they resent the word politicians, just for the record.
The word, but I don't want us to get caught up in the word.
No, we're not. I'm just telling you that going into these rooms, which I've been, they resent the word strongly, politicians. They may be in theory doing that, but they resent the word I went in making that terrible mistake, and they were like, no. That's not what we call ourselves. That's not what we want to be seen as.
So we will refrain from calling the people that take the batter and the butter and mix it up with the flour and put it in the oven with the yeast. We will refrain from calling them bakers, but we will eat that cake.
Hey, whatever they want to do. But from my perspective, I mean, I do understand the idea that they don't want to be these sort of bought and paid for talking heads. Like, I do get that, right? Because there's a negative connotation to politics.
There is.
Right. And I totally understand and respect that. But like I said, I don't need a title to be a leader. Right.
Right.
I don't need to be acknowledged as a politician to be a politician. If I'm moving people's opinions and I am moving the needle on issues and I'm a politician, whether I call it that or not. Right. Like, that's just but I don't want to get bogged down in the word. The point is, we have an amazing capacity in our community to move votes.
Yeah.
That's what's fascinating here. What's fascinating is the GOP has figured out that states move based on their biggest city centers. That's what moves a state, right? If the biggest city centers in a state turn out and show up, then that state goes blue, right? They understand that. Who controls those cities? Doesn't matter where you are. Cities are controlled by Black votes, right? Because major cities, Houston, Dallas, Philly, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Los Angeles, like, you have big populations of Black people. They can move in concert and they can flip elections, right? So what we're misunderstanding as a Black community is just how powerful we are, because we're 14% of the vote, but we are concentrated in a way that we can shift entire states. We are not scattered around Idaho, right? We are concentrated in Philly, and we can get Philly to turn Pennsylvania blue. We are concentrated in Cincinnati, and we can get Cincinnati to turn Ohio blue when we move that way. And that's exciting. Like, that's amazing. It's also, to some people, terrifying.
Yeah.
Right. So my thing is, let's start thinking like a group of people who decide which way a state goes, and acting as a group of people who decides which way a state goes, and demanding from the party that they treat us like the group that decides which way a state goes. We just had a massive loss in Virginia. I am here to tell you that margin that Republican won by, that 75,000 votes, was downturn in the Black turnout. Youngkin did not get a single vote that Donald Trump didn't. That is a total piece of nonsense punditry. Youngkin got what, 1,660,000. Trump got 1,009,000 something.
What do you think that was? Why do you think that happened?
Because the Democratic team is the superior team on a football field who keeps getting beat by a weaker team because they refuse to throw the football. I mean, we're literally there running on first down, running on second down, running on 3rd and 10 because we won't throw the ball down the field. And our stadium was full of fans, and they are watching us lose the football game because we refuse to throw the football. What do you think those fans are going to do?
Exactly. Not show up.
They're going to just leave the stadium.
Just not show up.
We gave our team the ball. We gave them the biggest offensive line. We gave them the strongest quarterback. We gave them a strong defense. And you know what they did? They the first thing they did was, blow it on the first possession, blow it on the second possession, let the other team score a safety, let the other team score on their first possession. And the whole time we're sitting here going, play football, tackle somebody.
Right?
Right. I mean, just think of how you feel when you watch your favorite football team miss tackle after tackle.
Giants. Oh God.
Right? Not throw the football, fumble on first and goal.
Yeah.
Right? The whole time you're going to start to lose heart.
Have your best wide receiver open.
And not throw, because coach only runs the football on second down, and God knows the defense knows what's coming. And so so after after January 6th, after we gave Biden the Senate, the House, he appointed somebody as Attorney General.
What in the heck?
He appointed somebody as Attorney General. Basically, he appointed let's just call him the equipment coach. He decided to take all the shoulder pads out of the locker room.
It should have been Sally Yates or any of those people.
I don't care what reason Joe Biden had to appoint Merrick Garland. Maybe it was a nod to Barack Obama. Maybe it was to try to sort of salve, I don't know.
Yeah, from the judicial Supreme Court thing.
Whatever. The bottom line is, he is the singularly least effective attorney general in our lives. And he's less effective than Jeff Sessions, than Bill Barr. They were effective in a negative way, but they were effective. He is by far the least effective attorney general in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Because theoretically, he's supposed to be getting X, Y, and Z done. And what he's doing is not accomplishing anything, but he is also accomplishing something very important in his passivity. He is allowing a wide open lane for the other team to come kick our ass.
Exactly.
And that is exactly what they are doing. Bill Barr is like the center, the nose guard, and the nose tackle of the offensive line, sitting down on their ass, letting the other side come and absolutely batter our quarterback.
You are 100%. Oh my God. Can I thank you for the football analogies? I live and breathe and die football. Thank you. Thank you.
That is what he's doing. Don't tell me it's so damn complicated. If you want to know a complicated investigation, try to figure out how Al-Qaeda got money to the Taliban or got money through Iran. That's complicated. When somebody's taking a video selfie of themselves attacking the Capitol, that ain't complicated. Don't tell me that this is all so difficult. It's so, intricate to try to figure out how to bring indictments against members of Congress who gave tours to people to help them attack the Capitol. I'm sorry, we have surveillance video of that because there are cameras all over the Capitol. There are cameras all over Trump Hotel. Don't tell me they don't have the evidence. They just chose not even to look for it. They haven't even gathered it. Right? So to me, that is a dereliction of criminal proportion. They don't want to hold these members of Congress accountable for attacking their country. They don't want to. So no, I don't want to hear a word.
Well, why not? Why is it? What could possibly be the motivation for not wanting to hold them accountable? If you are Biden, if you are a Democrat, if you are the goddamn attorney general for put in place by a Democratic president, what would be the motivation to not hold people accountable when there's tangible evidence, there's video evidence? It's not like it could be perceived that, we just did this because we don't like Republicans. No, we all saw what happened on January 6th. There is video, there are tweets, there are evidence. So then
there's cloud data that your phone tracks you when you move. They knew where these people physically were. Apple has all of that information, and the attorney general hasn't even asked.
So what's the benefit? What is the benefit to the Biden administration for not holding these people accountable?
your guess is as good as mine. I will say this. I am willing to believe that Joe Biden thought the attorney general would pursue this, but has been so committed to the idea of independence of the attorney general that he's not pressing it. That's possible. Although honestly, I don't buy that. I don't, given anybody who's actually maneuvered in the Senate for as long as Joe Biden has, I just don't really
He knows better.
buy that. I honestly, if something don't make no damn sense, somebody's getting paid. That's always my mantra. So I have to wonder what's going on the money on the backside. I mean, I'm not anti-Joe Biden. Everybody knows this. I've been strongly pro Biden, pro Kamala. He was not my choice in the primary by any stretch of the imagination.
Mine either.
I was a Elizabeth Warren girl. I was all Warren all the time. But the majority spoke, and I said, okay, that's your decision.
And we have to go with it. That's it.
And when he picked Kamala, and I saw her, I was like, okay, let's go. I'm all for it. Did I have my concerns? I did. Because the thing is, and this is my personal cynicism, this is my opinion, I love all of my people. I love Black people. I love white people. I love Latino people. I love LGBT people. I would go to the wall for anybody. But I have lost my capacity to trust white men to hold other white men accountable.
Hello,
right?
Somebody.
There aren't any who do. There are many who do. And I love and appreciate and admire and respect those men who do. But not enough do for me to be able to count on it.
Not at all. You'd be a fool to count on it.
So that's my problem. My problem is when I need a powerful white man held accountable, I can't trust another white man to do that. I'm going to have to see a sister. I'm going to have to see a woman. I'm going to have to see another person of color doing that. Because at this point, too many cards of free passes have been handed out to powerful white men by other powerful white men for me to ever believe in my heart that that's the way it's going to go down. Now,
and there's your answer to why Joe Biden won't. There's your answer, JaVonne.
I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm hoping that he was waiting for infrastructure to pass, and then he'll turn everything around and whatever. I don't know, because God knows on my Twitter feed, I'm sure, JaVonne, you see, I don't ever let up on this issue.
Exactly.
I don't let up on this issue.
Exactly.
I know, but the reality is, if Joe Biden tomorrow fired Merrick Garland, which, by the way, he has the absolute prerogative to do. The Attorney General serves at the pleasure of the president. So if he fires Garland tomorrow and appointed an interim attorney general, like let's say Tish James, right?
Now we're talking.
What would happen from that? What would the consequence of that be? Well, I will tell you one thing. Every single one of those senators and congressmen who were involved in 1-6 would be running looking for defense counsel. Every single one of them would start to worry about what she was going to get and how quickly she was going to get it, because she wouldn't drag her heels on subpoenas, right? Like she would be like, okay, let's go. She would have the U.S. Marshals enforcing those subpoenas post haste. Right? If I were Bill Barr, I'd be super worried, because she would open all of your files and start putting out publicly what you did, like she did to Andrew Cuomo, right? She would be the one who would come after every single one. Like if I were the head of ICE under Donald Trump, I'd be extremely worried, right? If I was Christopher Wray, the head of the FBI, I would be terrified, because Chris Wray sat on intel about what was going to happen on 1-6. I still don't understand how that man is not in prison, let alone still in his gig, right? Exactly. But Joe Biden has the absolute right and prerogative to do that. So why isn't he?
And he won't.
So,
because you said it, another white man is not going to hold somebody else with power. That's right. It's not.
I have two questions. A, how can we get these concerns, everything that you just voiced, and I'm assuming that they already know how we feel about it and don't care, but how can we as a people, as a collective, get that message back to Biden? Like, move your feet to the AG. And that's number one. And number two, let's talk about your soror.
Okay. The first thing I will say is that I don't have the answer to the question number one, because if I did, they'd already, I use my Twitter, I think that there are members of Congress even that look like us that are not necessarily interested in rocking the boat, right? Because understand
here we go.
It's money plays a big role in this, right? And where the money flows to campaigns is huge in what people are willing to say and what they're not willing to say publicly. Remember how I said that a little bit earlier in our conversation, right? So how we get the president to pay attention to what we're saying, we got to get in his face. How do we get anybody to pay attention to what we say? We got to get in their face. When we marched at Black Lives Matter, we got their attention for a hot minute, and then we kind of backed off as we typically do. So we need to be in their face about it. That's my opinion. Do I have the bandwidth to organize that? Not me personally, but some folks do. And the thing is, we're not being clear about what we're asking for. When we say we're asking for voter protection and we're asking to pass a John Lewis, and what we're not admitting is none of those bills will pass if the composition of the Senate is not rattled.
That's true. So we got to vote, and we got to get more senators.
No, we got to get Garland out of there. Do you know that we have 4 or 5 GOP senators who could be indicted if we had an attorney general?
So how do we do that? From
Joe Biden to replace Merrick Garland, or do you?
Okay.
Please. Because I've been saying it over and over again.
Okay.
The blockage of the filibuster, the blockage of voting rights protection, all of that is happening because Sinema and Manchin still believe that going over to the GOP is a viable option, and the other senators around them believe it too. But if half the GOP is under indictment, that stops being nearly as enticing an option. And when that starts to become less likely to happen, the pressure on Sinema and Manchin ratchets up. And to the extent that some of these GOP senators are really scared, you now have a bargaining chip. Would I personally, Pam Keith, be ruthless enough as president of the United States to threaten United States senators with indictment unless we kill a filibuster? I, Pam Keith, absolutely would.
Because that's how you fight.
Because I'm
you in it to win. You in it to, but the thing is, the difference, I think, it's a sad difference between you and the man currently in power, is that you would be hell bent on making that change, and it doesn't seem as though he is.
Right, because when they did it at the state level, that was the GOP. Right? I think the problem is that the GOP works integrated from state to federal, and the Dems don't. Right? So they talk about decorum in the Senate as if what's happening in the states is irrelevant. They're using decorum in the Senate to actually not move on napalm at the state level. Well, I'm sorry, but as a voter, I don't give a damn about your traditions. I don't give a damn about your decorum when I have napalm on me. That's burning my skin from what the state level GOP is doing. So the problem is the GOP thinks in an integrated way, the Democratic Party does not. So they know that Black people are agitated about the attacks on our vote, but they somehow feel like they can wait to pass voting rights, or they can, well, what do you want us to do? Like the filibuster, what can we do? We can't seem to move them. Like, how about be more gangster? How about, like, people say, well, what do you think Joe Biden could do? How about get creative? If I were Joe Biden, I would get Diddy, LeBron, and all these people and make a national tour on voting rights. I would be out in every major city in America with a voting rights vote-a-thon, right? Everywhere. I'd have t-shirts everywhere. I would pour the whole resources of the creativity of the Democratic Party and all of its celebrity and all of its artistry and put it to voting rights. I would make a priority numero uno. We've never seen a president do that, but it's not like they couldn't.
Is that something that we could do?
Absolutely.
From the ground. Like,
absolutely. We have all, like I said, at the very beginning, Black people decide what's cool.
Yeah.
Because we have the celebrity. The celebrity is not cool unless Black people say they are. Aaron Rodgers has just found out that he's not cool anymore.
No, he's not.
Right?
I'm just saying we need to have some more conversation about this, and I'm down.
Terez is looking at me like I'm crazy. I'm trying to think. I'm thinking.
I'm taking it in, you know, and taking it in and warding off because my phone is flipping over here with the text messages, and I'm trying not to look at them either. You know, I'm taking it in, and I'm also thinking, you know, your energy, I love it, you know, but I'm less. I think part of it I have to expose. I'm less likely to be swayed by words. I'm a person that, you know, like you said, when I watch things play out, and even if I'm in them, if I watch them play out, and I watch I just need the whole thing to blow up and be restructured. I want term limits there, you know, because we got too many people from the Supreme Court to the man mopping the floor that are entitled in these positions, and they just need to go, you know.
So let me try to impress you now. So in my day gig, I am a lawyer. Y'all know this. But I don't actually practice in the state of Florida. I practice in the District of Columbia. And if you have been paying any attention at all, back in September, I and my law firm filed the first ever class action lawsuit on behalf of Black women police officers against the Metropolitan Police Department, the DC Police Department, for systematic racism, sexism, and systematic retaliation and bullying. We have 10 Black female officers, one of whom is an assistant chief of police, one of whom was the first ever Black female officer of the year. The average age on the force, or tenure on the force, is 18 years. These 10 Black women have broken the blue code of silence, telling everything about how the game is played internally to push out people who complain, to push out people who report police misconduct, right? And to marginalize and treat as second-class citizens Black women within the police department, which also translates to how the police engage with the community. Now, that's having tectonic reverberations in DC. In October, I filed a second case. This one was on cadets. We had 3 young Black women cadets who were pushed out of the cadet program, which is like junior ROTC for police. They were pushed out because they participated in an internal investigation of a sergeant. They were required to give a statement, and Internal Affairs turned around and gave those statements to that sergeant. So they they got totally bullied, retaliated, and pushed out of their program, right? In violation of Black and white DC law that protects whistleblowers. So that's action number 2. Action number 3 is in the works. Stay tuned. So I do understand that words are only but so impressive, and I take that on. But I'm also a woman of action. And what is happening in DC right now is that Pandora's box of the blue code of silence has been opened. And I'm getting my phone ringing off the hook for people who have suits against the MPD for bullying, retaliation, harassment, sexism, racism, misconduct. So if you want to change policing, you change the mindset, you change the culture, and you change it from within. That's how I'm trying to change policing in America.
And thank you for that. Thank you for that particularly. And that's definitely no small feat. And prayerfully, when you win, you know, all of your suits, and I'm putting it out there positively, that can be packaged and tried in every other state, you know, because it exists. Police department is in need of a lot of things, you know. So is it's
that many people to come together, to stand together as a unit, as a team, right? Speak up, because nobody's claiming that it's not true, right? So the city council now has a very interesting decision to make, because the city council can say, "Oh, we don't believe these 10 Black women." In DC, that may not go over so well in an election year. Or they could say, "We believe them, but we don't care." Or they could say, "We believe them, we do care, but we're not going to do anything." Right? Because this is not just my methodology is not just filing it in the court of law. It's very much playing it out in the court of public opinion. Because I bring that political. I know that's a bad word, but I bring that political.
Not for you.
Right? So I bring that political and social culture, that activism muscle to this. And that's why it's getting the kind of traction it is. We were on with Don Lemon on CNN. I mean, again, it's the first ever in the history of our country class action lawsuit for Black women police officers. And it is Black women. It is not all Black people, even though I'm sure the brothers have a very good case too, right? I want to talk about how Black women get it for being both Black and female in a male-dominated environment.
You know what? We have a game that we would like to play with you here, if that's okay.
That's fine.
Terez, would you like to tell her about our game?
Absolutely. The name of the game is called Rapid Fire. It's a word association game. I say a word and you say immediately what comes to mind. Don't think there's no wrong answers. It's just what immediately comes to mind. I'll go first and then JaVonne will go second. And it's to give folks a peek behind the veil when it could be off topic. It could be, we could ask you about ice cream. It's something that you probably are not used to answering. I'm getting on my end, JaVonne, I'm getting a little, she's freezing a bit. Do you see it?
Yes, she is completely frozen at this point. Oh, okay.
There we go. Okay.
There you go. You're back a little bit.
Okay, so let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready when you are.
Okay. Community.
Activism.
Activism.
Ooh. Effectiveness.
Black men.
Kings.
Black women.
Badass queens.
Black vote.
Deal maker.
Scrutiny.
Criticism.
Fearlessness.
That's a good one. The thing that comes to mind is me.
Self-care.
Baking.
Children.
Not for me.
Okay. JaVonne, you're up next. Thank you. Thank you, Pam.
Politics.
Power.
Martial law.
White supremacy.
Family.
Black people.
Adjudication.
Justice.
Criminal.
Depends on who you ask.
Power.
Own it.
House of Representatives.
I was going to say something I thought better, but
Oh, that's your
I would say lots of jokes.
Kamala Harris.
Where is she?
AKA
My heart.
and Shaka Khan.
I feel for you. I think I would.
You know what? I think I love you too. You are dope. You are dope. And I would like for you to visit us again, if that's cool with my my partner here.
Oh, absolutely. Not only that, if I may add, I would like you, I pray that you run again like I said, like I did a lot of digging, in your backstory a bit, and I kind of moved past the bios to see who your opponents were, the whole bit, and now after speaking with you, I like your fire, I like your intensity, I like your energy, I like what you represent. I just, I got this thing about respect and protecting the Black women, and using our power, to penetrate in areas that, we traditionally aren't supposed to be, in the rooms we're not traditionally supposed to be, and let them tell it. So I have to kind of, we need to be able to do some supporting in ways that help. And
absolutely.
I mean, let me tell you something about the cross-born by Black women candidates. You can, first of all, the party does not want Black women candidates. It wants Black women voters.
Right.
Second of all, everything is measured by how much money you can raise. And even amongst Black people, it is difficult to raise unless white people are already giving you money, because then you come off as a bad bet. So you got to get approval and imprimatur very early in the process. And if you don't, then you just struggle. That's not a question of how good of a candidate or even how electable you are, right? And the thing is, the first time I ran for Congress, my opponent in the primary had Nancy Pelosi and Steny Hoyer raising money for her. And then they turned around and said, oh, they're going to support her in February for an August primary because she raised more money, right? Like, so you strap a rocket to her back and say, oh, well, she's running faster than you. Yeah, of course, right? So you have to understand that there's not a level playing field. But also, it's harder on us from Black men, right? And it's also sometimes harder on us from Black women, because we're not enough. We're not down enough. We didn't focus enough. We didn't do enough. We're not real enough. We have to be electable. We have to raise money. We have to get endorsements. But if we're not down enough, then we don't get support. But if we do, then you sold out. Like, there's no way to thread the needle as a Black woman candidate that isn't miraculous. We don't get to be Matt Gaetz. We don't get to be an average white candidate. We've got to be extraordinary and perfect. And so people are like, well, I hope you run again. I was like, girl,
it's a lot.
It's a lot. And
what's that? Have you ever thought about what that figure is? What would that figure be then? What do you need to raise as a candidate to be able?
It depends on your district and sort of the shape of your primary, but don't think about running for Congress without being able to raise $2 or $3 million. I raised $1.7 million during a pandemic in 4 months. But that meant that I spent 10 hours a day, every day on the phone begging people for money. Right? Because that's the only thing that matters. The only thing that matters is, can you raise enough money to get on TV? Because people have to see your message. It doesn't matter how good it is if they don't see it.
This is true.
Right? So the game of politics today is the game of fundraising. And the game of fundraising is about the game of patronage. That's what people don't understand when they go into this. They go into this with all these altruistic notions about what they want to do when they get there and how they want to represent their community and how they want to fight. But you have to sit down with Mr. Billionaire, who's going to throw that fundraiser at $2,500 a pop for you. Do you think Mr. Billionaire wants to hear about your activism for your community? Because if you don't have that $2,500, you can be as activist as you want to be. You won't get out of the primary. So we gotta count it joy when they make it through. But my goal is to change the system. My goal is to take out some of those roadblocks, and that's some of the things that I work on in politics now. So I'm head of an organization called Fight for Florida's Future, that is looking to democratize democracy and put tools in the hands of candidates to make them able to talk to voters directly at a much, much lower cost, so that more and more people can be competitive in primaries. The game for our community is in the primary. Because very few of us are going to run as Republicans, and those who do are probably crazy.
Yeah. What's the website for that Fight for Florida's Future?
It's fight4fl.com.
Fight Untitled4fl.com.
Right. So that the goal of that organization is to build ground infrastructure and voter contact, and to put in the data contact and the data and the technical tools that would allow anybody to run for office, be it city council, school board, you name it. You would be able to contact the people who need to hear from you at a very, very low cost and a very, very high efficiency, like targeted so that your message to them actually resonates with them. It kind of puts a consultative capacity in the hands of an average, regular workaday candidate.
Wonderful.
Outstanding. How can everyone follow you and support you? How can we best do that?
Well, please follow me on Twitter at Pam Keith FL, Facebook Pam Keith FL. I'm on Instagram, Pam Keith FL. I'm even on TikTok, although I don't have much on there. Same, all Pam Keith FL. And then if you are paying attention to the lawsuits here in DC, I think the hashtag is Courageous Women Changing Policing. So I think that's it, or Courageous Women Change Policing. Try either one. I haven't seen the hashtag lately, but that's on YouTube and on Instagram, and so pay attention to that. We're trying to build a national movement to change policing culture and mindset at the level of the police officers, how they treat each other and how they treat us. That's how you're going to stop a Derek Chauvin from happening. Because if you're wondering how two officers could stand around and watch him kneel on someone's neck for 9 minutes, the answer is because those two officers were intimidated into silence before they ever showed up on the scene.
Oh, absolutely.
That's the answer. So you break the capacity to intimidate police officers into silence. You break the capacity of a Derek Chauvin to succeed and thrive in a police department.
In that part. That's great to land on.
Absolutely. And one last thing I want to tell you, just in terms of the one last project that I really want to take up, is that first one you started with Ahmaud Arbery and the Calvary House. We don't have a method, a system to hold judges accountable for being racist as all get out, right? The only way we've never removed a judge from the bench for being a racist, ever. The only one that we've ever removed, that I know of, was removed because of some comment he made offline outside the courthouse. But basically, whatever they say in the courtroom was fine. Right?
Yeah.
Unless, of course, we created a system that tracks judges and can remove them, not on what they say in court, but on a statistical line based on their trends. That's what's coming next.
That would be amazing. That will be
like that.
Amazing. That
like
yeah. And just quickly, the answer to my question: if the court rules that you cannot categorize the victims as victims, right? Can an attorney then, in their, let's just say, opening argument or in some sort of argument, just define the word victim and put out a preface that I'm not saying that that anyone in particular is a victim. However, this is the definition of victim.
You could
go on and describe the victims as such.
Right. You could try to play a game like that. Chances are the judge will slap you for that. This particular judge is straight up racist. I'm saying it. I'm not mincing words about it. We have a racist judge on the bench. And everybody's watching his racism. And the question is, does DOJ do something after the fact about this judge? The problem is that all of the judges that, our courts have been badly infested with racist judges at this point. So will his judgment stand? I don't know. I mean, there's a good chance they will. I mean, can go to the Supreme Court, which is also racist. So, what does that all mean? That's why we need a parallel mechanism. That's why we need a mechanism that holds these judges accountable, and it can remove judges based on racism in the way that they exercise their discretion, right? In these discretionary choices. Personally, I think refusing to allow them to be called racist, but allowing them to be called rioters or looters when there's no evidence that any of them were rioting or looting is a reversible error. Personally, I think that that's reversible error. But in terms of reforming our criminal justice system, right? Our system is predicated on the idea that once a person is put in as a judge, we just have to live with whatever they do. Right. And I'm just saying, well, why? We can actually, as a community, as a society, decide that we're not okay with that anymore.
Exactly.
And appeals are only about legal errors. But there are errors that are not legal errors. They're judgment errors. They're bias errors. And we have to have a mechanism to get to that. So that one of the things that I kept pinging our president about is to give to our vice president, who happens to be an outstanding lawyer, right, the task of doing two very important things. One, rewriting the model penal code, the one that is all state codes are based on the federal model penal code, rewriting and modernizing the modern penal, the model penal code to reflect modern values and to stop criminalizing Blackness and poverty, right? So we can completely rewrite the penal code and appoint a blue ribbon panel of legal experts and activists and pastors and whatever to rewrite the model penal code. It's time. The other thing is to appoint her to look at creating a mechanism of what I call judicial, or what I call justice review, justice and equity review, a layer of review that looks at both judges and prosecutors and looks at sentences and can modify sentences for reasons of justice and equity. For example, the sister sitting in jail for 5 years in Texas for voting would get clemency or get out of jail when this white girl who attacked her own country and tried to sell a laptop to the Russians got 60 days. That kind of thing could get rectified. So instead of our people languishing in jail while people try to get them out, we would have an immediate system to look at it and say, I don't care whether there was enough evidence to convict them. The way that this went down is not equitable. We don't have to accept justice without equity.
Right.
That's one of the things I would think Kamala Harris would be awesome at trying to address.
Yeah, she showed herself to be a formidable attorney while she was speaking. I mean, I was completely impressed.
She's a formidable lawyer. I don't know how much room to maneuver she currently has.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, my partner here, and for good reason, is disenchanted, and most people for good reason. Like you said, where is she? She just doesn't seem like a background player, and
she didn't while she was running.
Right. And now she has been in the background, way so far back in the background we can't find her.
But that's not necessarily her choice.
And I don't think it's her choice. And that's my thinking. Like I think I've been thinking about, and I know I'm holding you a little bit longer than we had intended, but you're fascinating. Your conversation. I'm loving this. But I haven't seen any vice president that's made any really big contribution during their vice presidency.
No. Biden made huge contributions to Obama's presidency.
That's true.
Especially in his ability to maneuver on the Hill. But Obama also gave Biden a huge lane and a huge responsibility and brought him into everything and had him at everything. Because as the first Black president, he needed to show the white people of America that there was a white guy in the background helping him out. He needed it and he valued it, but he also showed it.
So do you think that Kamala was chosen to support him in his run to ensure that he secured the Black vote, and now that she's there and he's there, not much else will be given?
Well, let me ask you, do you think Kamala is his top advisor, or do you think Ron Klain is his top advisor?
I definitely don't think it's Kamala.
Ron Klain. Whose fault is that?
I don't know.
That would have to be his fault.
That has to be his fault. He could do so much more to elevate her, to put her out front, to show that she's a top advisor, she's a valued member of the team, and whatever. That's on him.
Yeah.
Not her. She can't do it on her unilaterally, because that would definitely not go over. right? So she's as given as much visibility and latitude as he grants her.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the thing is that Joe Biden didn't walk in thinking he needed Kamala Harris's counsel. Barack Obama walked in thinking he needed Joe Biden's counsel.
This is true.
That's the difference. And I'm like I said, I'm not trying to attack either one of them. Did I vote for them? Yes, I did. Did I fight for them? Yes, I did. Did I go campaign for them? Yes, I did. Would I vote for them again if they're the nominees? Heck yes. So I don't want to get it twisted. I'm Team Democrat. Not because I'm Team Democratic Party. I'm
There are
not.
a lot of us that felt like we didn't have a choice, like who to vote. They were running against the former.
Exactly. But no
It
matter
doesn't mean they were like viable candidates, either one
yeah,
of them.
but there is nobody put it up that's going to be put up by the GOP that I would ever consider voting for. They are
Absolutely.
racism. I'm sorry, and I've completely written off the capacity to ever consider a Republican. So it is what it is.
Especially this particular GOP. This Republican Party is out of control. They are anti-American, everything. I mean, like 100.
It's just not a thing. So if the 2024 team is Biden Harris, then I'm going to be voting for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Like, now, am I spending all the time between now and then trying to get them to be better at the gig? Yes. Am I going to spend all of my time between now and then trying to make sure that we win in 2022 and make sure that we keep Republicans out of power? Yes, because to me, keeping white supremacists out of power is existential to my people. Am I the one that's going to end up in jail? Probably not. But my little brothers are. My little sisters are. And I don't want to spend all my time trying to get them out of jail. And certainly not trying to go to their funerals. So from my perspective, this is existential for my Black people. This is the team I got to deal with. Right? So I'm going to do what I need to do to make sure the Democrats win, because the opposite is Republicans winning, which is unacceptable to me.
Yeah. I think that we need to start messaging to this administration that we insist and demand that we see and hear from our VP, and that she be given the opportunity to address some of these core issues that are going on in our judicial system and I just feel like she's been slapped in the background and she's taking all the heat for it. She does not have the checkbook to write the checks.
Right.
That is not her role.
No, but we are not talking to Joe Biden, because anytime you try to talk to Joe Biden, everybody's like, you're not supporting the president.
Or you get slammed on, and I know that quite a few mouths that are making sense. And now, and what I'm afraid is happening too, is that folks are really pulling out of their respect and dedication to the Democratic Party, because when you do voice, I know a couple of big voices online, and what happens is then you get violated on your social media platforms for saying things that are actually true. You get violated.
Yeah, but I'm so used to it at this point. It's like, like I've gotten really good at controlling the hyena pack attacks. But the thing is this, I don't have loyalty to the Democratic Party. I have loyalty to stopping Republicans. I have loyalty to democratic values. I have loyalty to my community. I have loyalty to the Constitution, of which I took an oath to protect and defend. I've never taken an oath to a party. I'm not going to take an oath to a party. A party is just a group of people doing some stuff. I don't necessarily like what this particular group is doing. So I'm going to call it out. And they're going to be mad at me for calling it out.
Maybe we got to find the way to call it out that will not impact the voices. Well, not that it does, because quite frankly, what the women turned around and did is started their own. And now we got to go covert again just to be able to talk to one another, because, each decade or so, you get a better way of speaking to folks, and I know specifically personally that some women that have been very, very vocal, and next thing you know, they're off. Violation of some kind of community something. You can't speak those videos. Okay.
Somewhere around 100,000 tweets and no suspension. So somehow I figured out how to work right up to that line. But and nobody would ever say that I hold my tongue. But Terez, all we can do is have just this bone deep, marrow deep conviction that we will not be moved. that at the end of the day, that's the only kind of confidence I really have. Because there are 4 kinds of confidence. I like to tell, well, maybe 3. There are 3 kinds of confidence. The first kind of confidence is a confidence you get from your family, right? Early on in life. They love you. They tell you you're beautiful, you're great, you're wonderful. And it's important to have it. It's probably more important in its absence than in its presence, because if you don't get it, you don't get messed up. But if you do get it, you're going to be basically normal, right? Second kind of confidence comes from competition. You go out, you compete in school, you compete in a race, you compete on the football field, and you get the job, you get the interview, whatever, and you now know that you're good. And you may be better than the average bear, and that makes you confident. The third kind of confidence is when life kicks you in your gut, when you get knocked in the mouth, when you get knocked back, and you somehow pull yourself together, you somehow survive it, and you get to the other side of your dark chapter. Be it your divorce, your job loss, your whatever, your health issue, whatever, you get to the other side. And when you survive and you endure that and you look back at what you've been through, then you have what I call the confidence of survival. And there's nothing more empowering than the confidence of survival, because that's a bone deep, marrow deep kind of confidence. And that's the kind of confidence that I have. I don't have the confidence that I'm going to win. I have the confidence that I can take one more punch than you can. And that eventually that causes me to win.
Okay.
And with that, thank you again so very much. You are dopeness. Thank you. Thank you so much for your yes in all things. In all things.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me. It was a delight.
You're wonderful. Thank you. And Rezi, love you. Shaka, I'll see you tonight, baby.
When we put that 3 mil in your hand, don't act like.
That's it. You will be held accountable.
Okay. Well, I'll take that. I'll take that. But anyway, thank you, ladies, for this. This was really, really fun.
Thank you.
Thank you.
She is dopeness. You like that, Rez, huh?
I do. And a lot to think about. And if all it takes is $3 million, okay.
Oh, I hope she's hearing that.
No, what I'm saying is okay. Well, you got to figure. People say fundraising.
Yeah.
But you don't have what do you need? Exactly. I need $5 million. I need whatever it is.
Quite frankly, she said it to the right people, because I know that you and yours can make that happen.
It's interesting.
She's amazing.
She's in an area. If you told me she was she's in an area that really, really matters to a lot of folks, and she's in an area that needs specific change, in what it looks like and how it's represented, and so that the bigger picture is impacted, and like I said, for me personally, and it has nothing to do with anybody, it doesn't mean I'm disenchanted at all. It just means that it's a lot more than words, but I did like spending time with her today.
Me too. Even more than I knew I would. She opened my eyes to some things that I didn't even know were concerns for me. And she gave me answers to questions I didn't even know I had. Who does that? Where they do that at? Right here on WJBR Internet Radio. Rezi, whatever you do today, please have a good day and enjoy. Be safe and know that God loves you, and so do I.
Peace, party people.
Victor, we see you.
Hey, Victor. On the mend, our Congo man.
That's it. See y'all.
Peace.
Hey everybody, this is Kenny Bobian, and you're listening to Brunch in the Basement with JaVonne and Terez.
Hi, this is Robin S., and you're listening to JaVonne and Terez in the basement. Show them love! I can't deal with y'all.
Hey, this is Avery Sunshine, and I am in the basement with JaVonne and Terez, shining.
What's up? It's your girl Monifa, and you're tuned in to Brunch in the Basement with JaVonne and Terez.
Hey, it's your girl Allison Williams, and you're in the basement with JaVonne and Terez.
Hey, this is Lenny Williams, and you're listening to Brunch in the Basement with JaVonne and Terez, playing my kind of music.
Still in the basement, no longer alone, with my homegirl Terez on the microphone. Music politics are just chatting it up. Brunch in the basement, see that's what's up. You never know who might run through. Legendary artist or someone brand new. You miss a lot when you miss one day. At least that's what I heard somebody say. But it doesn't really matter what whoever says. It's always a good show with JaVonne and Terez. Yeah. Brunch in the basement with JaVonne and Terez. Yeah. Let's see who we got today.
Come on, everybody's a friend in my head. I already know everybody.
Whatever it is, it's gonna be good.
One day I'll tell you about me and Shaka Khan, but you know.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but she doesn't know anything about it. But anyway. No, she doesn't. She wasn't even there actually. But anyway, but she did mention none other than Shaka Khan as one of her.
Why you gotta say, wait a minute? Why you gotta say Shaka? She did mention no other than Shaka Khan. I'm like, where does your voice go? What happens? What's happening? Even the mere mention of her name. Silence. Oh gosh.
Would you believe I'm blushing?
Yes. Hard. You're speechless blushing. That's the thing. Speechless blushing.
Rezzy, I can't help it.
There's a Shaka rehab, you know.
If there's a cure for this, I don't want it. I don't want it.
All right. Senses though, Jay. She's got our ears and
I'm gonna send y'all some perfume. I'll definitely get an address. I'll send y'all out tomorrow.
You can send me some cologne, because I mean,
cologne,
you know,
you cologne?
yeah. Just in case I should meet Shaka Khan, I want to smell really, you know, nice.
Oh God.
Okie dokie, man. Whatever you say.
I just wanted to wish everybody a happy Shaka Hanukkah. All right, thank you. Let's carry on. I'm sorry.
JaVonne, there's a pill you're going to be able to take for that.
I promise not to tell them which way you went, but they're coming for you.
The time, so
And we thank you for that.
Thank you. Yes,
well, thank you. This part, that little piece, I'm just gonna keep and play it all the time for myself. But no, I'm just teasing. And I think it's time, Terez, to do a little rapid fire with Mr. Richard Pryor Jr.
I think so. So
Yeah.
Don't worry, we won't hurt you.